Hey folks, welcome back to True Crime Stories, where we cover the most thrilling true crime stories. Before we get going, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for me. Thanks. And now let's get into today's story.
All right, so buckle up, everyone, because this deep dive, well, let's just say it's a real doozy. We're heading to Havenford.
Havenford.
Yeah, Havenford. Think small town charm, peaceful streets, the kind of place where everybody knows your name.
Ah, got it.
But here's the thing. Havenford's got a secret, and it's a dark one.
Ooh, I love a good secret. What kind of sources are we talking here? Police reports, eyewitness accounts.
Oh, we've got it all. Police reports, witness testimonies, even some dusty old newspaper clippings.
Sounds like we're going full-on detective mode for this one.
Absolutely. We're diving deep into Havenford's past, peeling back those layers to uncover the truth. And trust me, the truth is way more twisted than anyone could have imagined.
Okay, I'm hooked already. Lay it on me. Where do we start?
Our story starts with a woman named Lucy Gardner. She's a freelance journalist, known for her, well, let's just say she's not afraid to dig deep.
So she's the one who uncovers this whole mess.
Oh, you bet. See, Lucy's recently divorced. Things didn't exactly end amicably, so she decides to head back to her hometown, Havenford, for a fresh start.
Makes sense. A little distance can do wonders after a tough breakup.
You got that right. Now, Lucy's always been drawn to stories, especially those that have been swept under the rug.
The forgotten ones, the ones that make people uncomfortable.
Exactly. So while she's back in Havenford, she starts researching a story about the town's history. She's particularly interested in the Orion Hotel, this grand old place that's been abandoned for years.
Ah, the creepy abandoned hotel. Classic.
Oh, it's got all the spooky vibes, believe me. It was once the heart of Havenford, but now it just sits there, decaying, full of whispers and shadows.
What is it about those old empty buildings that just draws you in?
Right. So Lucy's poking around the Orion, sifting through old documents and whatnot, and she stumbles upon something incredible, a hidden room.
A hidden room, like a secret passage kind of thing.
Exactly. It's tucked away behind a wall in the hotel's old library. The kind of place that probably hasn't seen the light of day in decades.
Sounds like something straight out of a mystery novel.
Oh, it gets even better. This hidden room is full of stuff. Old letters, photographs, personal belongings, like little pieces of people's lives just frozen in time.
Wow, that's eerie.
Totally. But as Lucy keeps exploring, she finds something that sends chills down her spine. Bone fragments. Human bone fragments.
Whoa, hold on. So we're not
Yeah.
just talking about a creepy abandoned hotel anymore. We're talking about, like, a potential crime scene.
You got it. The discovery of these remains throws Havenford into chaos. Nobody can believe it.
I bet. So what happens next? Do they call in the big city detectives?
Well, Havenford's a small town, remember? They've got Officer Tom Elliston. He's the only cop in town.
Just one officer for the whole town. Wow.
Yep. So imagine Officer Elliston's surprise when he gets called to the Orion and finds, well, human remains,
He must have been overwhelmed.
to say the least. Initially, he's skeptical. I mean, Havenford's always been so peaceful. He's not exactly eager to open up a full-blown investigation.
Understandable. But a discovery like that can't be ignored, right?
You'd think, wouldn't you? But some folks in Havenford, they're all about preserving the town's image. They don't want any bad press.
The sweep it under the rug mentality.
Exactly, but not Lucy. She's not buying it. She knows there's something more to this, and she's determined to get to the bottom of it.
Good for her. So what does she do?
She starts asking questions, digging into Havenford's past, and that's when she uncovers a truly disturbing pattern, a series of missing women.
Missing women.
Yeah, and it's not just one or two. We're talking about women vanishing from Havenford over decades. And guess what connects them all?
Don't tell me the Orion Hotel.
Ding, 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 we have a winner. It's like the Orion is at the center of all this darkness, a magnet for tragedy.
Okay, this just got a whole lot creepier.
Tell me about it. And then, as if ripped from the pages of a thriller, another woman disappears. Claire Hawthorne. She's a local artist, well-known in town, super talented.
So another disappearance right on the heels of this hidden room discovery. That's not a coincidence.
You think. The timing is incredibly suspect, and it throws Havenford into full-blown panic mode.
I bet. Everyone's looking over their shoulder, wondering who could be next. So who are the usual suspects in this small-town thriller?
Well, we've got a few contenders. First up, we have Marcus Hale. He's the town's antique dealer, kind of an enigmatic character, and he's got a weird fascination with the Orion Hotel.
In what way?
His shop is packed with stuff from the hotel, furniture, decorations, you name it. And get this, some of the items even belong to the missing women.
Okay, red flag alert.
Major red flag. Then there's Jared Bryant, Claire's boyfriend. He's known for being possessive, jealous, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, the jealous boyfriend, another classic.
Right, and there were reports of some pretty heated arguments coming from his place the night Claire disappeared.
It sounds like he's got some explaining to do.
And we can't forget about Evelyn Brandt, the town historian. She's like a walking encyclopedia of Havenford's past, fiercely protective of the town's reputation.
I can see how that could be a problem in a situation like this.
Oh, it definitely gets complicated. See, Evelyn's alibi for the night Claire went missing, well, let's just say it's a little shaky.
Interesting. Anyone else we should be suspicious of?
Oh, there's one more. Sophie Green. She's Lucy's childhood friend, but things have been strained between them for years.
What happened?
Well, it's complicated. See, Sophie's now the marriage counselor for Lucy's ex-husband.
Oof, that's gotta be awkward.
To say the least. There's definitely some bad blood there, some unresolved issues. And let's just say Sophie has a motive or two of her own.
This town is a tangled web of relationships. So with all these suspicious characters, how does the investigation even move forward?
That's where the forensic evidence comes in. Remember those fingerprints they found in the hidden room?
Yeah, I was wondering about those.
Well, they got a match. Marcus Hale. It seems our antique dealer has a few more secrets than he's letting on.
Figures. What about Claire and her boyfriend? Any leads from them?
Oh, yeah. They dug into their cell phone records, and let me tell you, the texts between them paint a pretty disturbing picture.
In what way?
Claire's messages, they're full of frustration, talking about feeling trapped, almost like she's afraid of Jared.
That's chilling.
And her last text, sent from the Orion right before she disappeared, well, let's just say it doesn't sound good.
Yikes. This is intense. So, where does Officer Elliston go from here?
Well, with Lucy breathing down his neck and the whole town on edge, he starts interviewing the suspects. And let me tell you, these interviews are a roller coaster.
I bet. Everyone's got something to hide.
You got that right. Marcus Hale, he's all evasive, trying to play it cool, but his justifications for his actions are creepy, to say the least.
What about Jared? Does he crack under pressure?
Jared, oh, he's all over the place, defensive, angry, contradicting himself every other sentence.
And Evelyn, the town historian, does she let anything slip?
She's trying so hard to protect Havenford's image that she practically ties herself in knots.
And Sophie, what's her story?
Sophie, well, she's playing some kind of mind game, manipulating everyone around her.
So what's the turning point in all this? What really blows the case wide open?
Lucy.
Car?
She's the one who puts it all together. She confronts Marcus Hale at the Orion, armed with all the evidence she's gathered.
I can only imagine how tense that must have been.
Oh, it was electric. The air was thick with tension. And under the weight of all that evidence and Lucy's relentless pursuit of the truth, Marcus cracks.
He confesses?
He does. Well, a partial confession. Admits to silencing women, but tries to justify it as some twisted form of protection. It's disturbing stuff.
Wow. A partial confession, a missing woman, a town full of secrets. This is one deep dive I won't soon forget.
Yeah, me both. All right, so we're back in Havenford, and the mystery just keeps getting deeper. Marcus Hale's confession, while shocking, it doesn't exactly answer all our questions. What about Claire Hawthorne? Is she okay? And all those other women who vanished? And don't even get me started on that creepy anonymous letter. It's like every time we peel back a layer, we find another layer underneath.
It's true. Marcus's arrest doesn't give us a clear resolution. In a lot of ways, it just complicates things further. It shines a light on the fact that Havenford has been hiding a lot of darkness for a long time.
Yeah. And those cell phone records we talked about. The text between Claire and Jared, well, they really give us a glimpse into the kind of relationship they had. It wasn't pretty.
Not at all. You can practically feel the tension, the frustration, even fear in Claire's messages. She's clearly unhappy, feeling suffocated by Jared's controlling behavior.
And let's not forget about Jared's so-called alibi for the night Claire disappeared. Painting alone in his apartment. Come on. We know from neighbors that there was a lot of noise coming from his place that night. Shouting, music, the whole works.
Definitely doesn't add up, does it? It seems like everyone in Havenford has something to hide, even if it's just a little white lie. Speaking of inconsistencies, remember Evelyn Brandt, the town historian?
Oh yeah, the woman who practically worships Havenford's history.
Exactly. She claimed to be at home organizing historical records, but a neighbor spotted her near the Orion that night. Why would she be there, especially given how desperate she is to protect the town's image? It doesn't sit right.
Doesn't it feel like this whole town is built on secrets? Like everyone's walking around with this unspoken agreement to just look the other way? It's pretty unsettling, to be honest. And you know what's even more unsettling? thinking about Sophie Green.
Lucy's childhood friend.
Yeah, you've got to admit, her connection to this whole case is the most bizarre of all. She's now married to Lucy's ex-husband, the therapist who was supposed to help them through their divorce.
Right, right. It's almost like she's trying to insert herself into Lucy's life, take over every aspect of it.
It wouldn't surprise me. Their history is full of competition, jealousy. You can feel the tension between them, even all these years later. And to think, Sophie now has access to all of Lucy's deepest fears, her vulnerabilities, all thanks to her husband's therapy sessions. Talk about a recipe for disaster.
The layers of betrayal here are pretty mind-boggling, but let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. Claire's disappearance, it's not an isolated incident. Havenford has a history of missing women, stretching back decades.
It's like this dark current running through the town's history, and nobody wants to acknowledge it. They'd rather pretend it's not there. And then there's that anonymous letter warning Lucy to stop digging. It's chilling. Almost like there's a secret society protecting Havenford's dirty laundry.
A conspiracy of silence. And Lucy's right in the middle of it all. It's incredible how she's able to keep pushing forward despite the resistance she's facing.
She's a force of nature, that's for sure. And she's starting to realize that this case isn't just about individual suspects. It's about Havenford itself. The town has become her investigation.
I can see that. She's trying to understand the context, the conditions that allowed these women to vanish without a trace.
So what does she do? She starts researching Havenford's history, like really digging deep. Old newspaper articles, town records, talking to the older folks who've seen it all. What does she uncover? A long history of women disappearing, their cases dismissed, forgotten, swept under the rug. These women weren't just forgotten, they were intentionally erased from Havenford's story.
Because their stories didn't fit with the image Havenford wants to project, right? A peaceful, idyllic town where nothing bad ever happens. It's a facade. And Lucy's starting to crack it wide open.
And of course, not everyone's happy about it. Remember Jared Bryant's outburst, blaming Lucy for Claire's disappearance. It's easier for him to lash out at her than to consider his own possible involvement.
Denial can be a powerful thing. It allows people to avoid facing uncomfortable truths. But Lucy, she refuses to be silenced. She knows that getting to the bottom of this requires understanding the system, the silence that enabled these tragedies to happen.
So she does something pretty radical. She organizes a town hall meeting, a space for people to talk about what's been happening, to share their stories, their fears.
Whoa, that's a bold move. Bringing all those secrets out into the open. How does that go over?
Honestly, it's incredibly powerful. People who've been carrying around guilt and pain for years finally have a chance to release it. Memories resurface, connections are made, and a much clearer picture of these missing women starts to emerge. It's a testament to the importance of sharing our stories, of facing the past together. It's the first step towards healing.
It's amazing how Lucy is able to create that space for healing, even amidst all the chaos. But the biggest question remains, what happened to Claire? Will we ever know?
We're back in Havenford, and let me tell you, the atmosphere's thick with tension. Even with Marcus Hale behind bars, it feels like the town's holding its breath. Claire's still missing, and those other women, the ones whose belongings turned up in that hidden room, well, it's like their stories are just lost.
It's hard to shake that feeling of unease, isn't it? Like we've exposed something dark, but the full picture's still out of reach.
Yeah, and I can't stop thinking about Evelyn Brandt. Remember her at that town hall meeting, pleading to protect the town's history? It was like she was carrying the weight of all those secrets, terrified of what would happen if they came out.
She was caught in a real bind, wasn't she? Torn between loyalty to Havenford and the truth about its past. You can't just erase people, their lives, and expect it to have no consequences.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder how many others in Havenford were complicit in that silence. Was Evelyn the only one who knew about those missing women? Or was she just the only one who felt guilty enough to say something?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it really gets to the heart of what this deep dive's all about. It's not just about solving a crime, it's about confronting the conditions that allowed it to happen in the first place. The systems, the power structures, the things that keep people silent even when they know something's wrong.
Okay, so Marcus is in jail, but we're still no closer to finding Claire. And what about justice for those other women? Do their families ever get answers?
That's where Lucy's tenacity really shines through. She doesn't just pack up and leave after Marcus's arrest. She's like a dog with a bone, constantly pushing, digging, determined to get those answers.
She's not satisfied with just one piece of the puzzle. She wants the whole damn picture.
Right. And she realizes that to really understand what happened, she needs to broaden her scope. So she shifts her focus not just on individuals, but on Havenford itself. It becomes like a living, breathing suspect in her investigation.
So she's treating the whole town as a crime scene.
Pretty much. She starts digging into Havenford's history, going way back, plowing through old newspaper archives, town records, interviewing anyone who'll talk to her. And guess what she finds? A pattern. A pattern of women going missing, their cases brushed aside, treated like they never even mattered.
It's like those women just vanished into thin air,
Yeah.
and nobody bothered to ask why.
Exactly. And you know what's even more disturbing? The more Lucy digs, the more she realizes these disappearances weren't random. They were systematically erased, swept under the rug to maintain Havenford's pristine image.
Because God forbid anyone should think a bad thought about Havenford, right?
It's all about protecting that small-town facade, no matter the cost.
And of course, that kind of denial always comes back to bite you in the ass.
Absolutely. You can't just bury the truth forever. Sooner or later, it's going to come out.
And in this case, it's Lucy who's doing the unearthing.
Yeah.
But let's be real, not everyone's thrilled about it. I mean, Jared Bryant, he practically explodes when Lucy confronts him with the truth about his relationship with Claire.
Oh, he was a ticking time bomb. So much anger, so much denial. He couldn't face the possibility that he might have played a role in Claire's disappearance, so he lashed out at Lucy instead.
It's always easier to blame someone else than to look in the mirror, isn't it? But Lucy, she's not intimidated. In fact, she takes things a step further. She decides to hold a town hall meeting, inviting everyone in Havenford to come and share their stories, their memories of the missing women.
That's so risky. I mean, can you imagine the raw emotions, the potential for conflict? It could have gone off the rails completely.
And you know what? It almost did. But it was also incredibly powerful. People who'd been holding on to their pain for years finally had a chance to let it out. They shared memories, connected the dots, and slowly, a clearer picture of these missing women started to emerge.
It's amazing what can happen when we create a space for truth-telling, for acknowledging the past.
It was like a weight lifted off the town's shoulders. But the biggest mystery remained. What happened to Claire Hawthorne?
And unfortunately, that's a question we still don't have an answer to. Despite all the evidence, all the leads, Claire's fate remains a mystery.
It's a reminder that even in the age of technology, with all our forensic tools and investigative techniques, some stories just don't have a neat and tidy ending. And that anonymous letter Lucy received. Well, the investigation into its origin is ongoing, but it feels like some secrets are just destined to stay buried.
It's true. Some wounds may never fully heal. Some answers may always elude us. But this deep dive, it's shown us that the pursuit of justice is a process, a long and winding road. And even if we don't always find what we're looking for, the act of searching, of asking those tough questions, of refusing to let the truth be silenced, well, that's what matters most.
It's about holding on to hope, even in the face of darkness. And it's about remembering those who've been lost, making sure their stories are never forgotten.
Exactly.
Well, folks, that's it for our deep dive into the mystery of Havenford. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep asking those tough questions.